super discounts on merchandise, massive sales on courses from Chessable, Chessable and Chess24 bundles, with new deals appearing every day. Visit chess24.com/deals.
Take your chess to the next level with carefully selected collections featuring some of the best video series from Chess24. Buy the courses to own them forever, save up to 60%, or go premium and access all series while having all other privileges of premium membership. Learn more at chess24.com/deals.
Want to raise your chess to a new level? Challenge Yourself is an exclusive, innovative experience designed for Chess24 Premium members. Train like a champ with a unique set of lessons prepared by the coaches of the challengers. Boris Girlfriend and Co. will help you improve your chess. Play a champ. Play a grandmaster each day in Banter Blitz. Take advantage of this incredible opportunity from June 10th. Go premium and challenge yourself.
Hey everyone, and welcome back for the second half of this Banter Blitz season, I would call it. It's a short season. I remain completely and utterly destroyed by the reverse jet lag. It's not reverse really, but yeah. So I suspect this will be even more more low energy than yesterday. But I ended up doing okay yesterday, so I don't know if that will negatively impact the results very much. As usual, keep me entertained, keep me awake. Chat opening requests and just general interactions are very, very welcome, because I appear to be falling asleep as I speak, which is not ideal. Let's get some chess on the board. Maybe that will help. And we'll start from the very bottom of the list today, instead of the usual procedure of looking for the highest level challenge. We'll go for a bit of a mix today. Hi everyone. And instantly he is filled with deep regret, as his first game of the Banter is a London. Why is this happening? This does appear to be at least a good version of the London, I'm pretty sure, because I think after bishop f4 c5, I've been playing this for 2 days straight, the bishop f4 c5 lines, and so far people have not really been punishing me with what I believe are the harshest possible replies to it, which I think is, first and foremost, I think you're supposed to play c5 d5 in that position. At least my understanding of the theory of the London as it currently stands is that you're supposed to play c5 d5 in that position. And it's hard to complain about a position where I'm a pawn up straight out of the opening, as I am here. But Yeah. Playing London all day, every day definitely wasn't on my bingo card. You do have to worry about knight b5 a little bit, but I guess it's easily enough resolved by including the move d6 so that knight b5 doesn't create too much of a threat. Yeah, and as I was continuing that sentence about it being hard to complain, I realized that A, nobody will believe me, and B, I was complaining about complaining, which is also very meta, but maybe I should try to do less of it. I'm not entirely sure why I haven't taken on b3 yet. I think in particular on the previous move, I will take now. I was kind of worried about, once again, the knight b5 counterplay, but now that we can castle at any point, I think the time definitely has come to cash in the queen takes b3 capture, and just instead of us having a slightly ruined queenside structure, we will give the very same ruined kingside structure to our opponent. Nicely played, Jake. How are you? Hang on a second. Has something happened to... I am very confused. Are you not a mod on Chess24, Jake? Okay, because I was wondering if my Twitch was misbehaving, because it wasn't showing you with a sword. But if you really aren't, then I don't need to uninstall and reinstall anything. That was my very important concern there. I almost replied to that. Seriously, because I assumed it was, somebody genuinely asking, because it would not have occurred to me that a message from you could be without a sword. We got to increase that rating. Yeah, we kind of have to increase that rating, but we're doing an okay job here. I'm kind of ignoring the game for a bit, because I think once I castled and got all the pieces out, and in particular once my opponent voluntarily gave me the two bishops here, the conversion should not really be very difficult anymore. This move is not necessary, but I want to, since I'm planning to start cashing in on the queen side, it makes some certain sense to wait for an additional move to make luft for your king, so that you no longer have to worry about any kind of back rank issues. Not that I was really in this position ever going to have serious back rank issues, but it's good sort of self-discipline to think about these things and prevent them, because you know, maybe not in this game, but in general, you might have cause to be grateful for these little good habits that you instill in yourself. What up, Mr. Svirlis? Mr. Svirlis is, as he's mentioned in his little introduction, is kind of walking dead right now. I am zoinked out of my mind on with the transatlantic jet lag, which really isn't fun in both directions. But for me, as I mentioned yesterday, and was immediately disbelieved by chat, for me, traveling to the States is tricky, but traveling from the States just completely kills me. Yeah, I mean, I probably could have won this game faster, but we are not really trying for any kind of a speed run. Uh, I don't. It's an interesting idea, Pipe Smoker. That idea of recording a video specifically on, avoiding known drawish lines in the Grunfeld. But honestly, it's not something. I mean, I could try, but it would need to be like a complete reversal of how I normally approach playing the Grunfeld, because I'm very much on the record saying that a major reason for me choosing that opening when I was a kid was that it offers you a chance to play fun lines, and it offers you and I'm very happy about this, because this is somebody who, owing to some weird computer troubles, I got a message from Daryl yesterday. I accepted his challenge yesterday, and he couldn't make. He just wasn't able to make the first move, so we had to abort it after. Oof. 2 days in a row. I feel so horrible about this. I will maybe play King H8, King G8 here for a bit. Yeah. I think we've 2 tempi should probably be enough here. I don't think I need to go all out on more than 2 tempi. Yeah, it clearly is a mouse slip, of course. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I legitimately don't know how to offer a take back. So what I did was as close to a take back as I could have done there. What was I talking about? Yeah, like Grunfeld for me is very much a fun opening, and an opening I play in large part because I think it offers very good winning chances in many places, and at least counterplay and chances for all 3 results. Maybe not in every line, but in many lines. But in order to build a repertoire such as the one Pipe Smoker is asking about, a repertoire where you willingly accept worse positions just to avoid theoretical draws, so to speak, I think is not exactly my type of an opening approach, because I've long has accepted the fact that against competent players, there's really no opening in the world that allows you to play for a win in every single game. And I don't actually like suggesting lines which lead to you not equalizing. So yeah, it's an interesting thought experiment, and there definitely will be some lines where you can do it without too much harm, but not every line. And actually here, if we want to talk about this game for a second, despite the king on f1, I feel like I probably am maybe even slightly worse here, which is kind of remarkable. Knight a3, knight c2, knight e3 in particular, I very much like and agree with from this plan by my opponent. And I should probably have tried harder to prevent it. Book 3 is a kind of an in-joke in my own channel. And, if it travels and becomes, accepted canon in this channel, I will not mind at all. Book 3 is Doors of Stone, a book by Patrick Rothfuss, which is a long awaited final book of the Kingslayer trilogy. We've been waiting, I'm not entirely sure for how long, but definitely for years and years for it. I'm really not enjoying my position or my play in this game, honestly. I think I've played this game kind of abysmally from the moment I gave those tempi away. I kind of This is definitely a game where I both autopiloted and played poorly. Like, sometimes my autopilot doesn't really work that poorly, but in this game in particular, it feels like my autopilot is way off. And I am now potentially significantly worse. I don't know, maybe I could have taken on e4, but I'm kind of reluctant to start calculating. And also, just as I was finished praising my opponent for completely outplaying me, he gifted me a central pawn. And now we are back to being very much in control. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I could have played f6, but f6, Ben Feingold acolytes will come into the chat and start flaming me for playing f6, and we can't have that, so. Not going to be doing that. Also, yeah, I need to shut up and start playing faster, right? Oof. But that actually won't cost me very much, shockingly. Whoa, okay, this will actually cost me quite a bit. What the hell? Queen of 1 was pre-moved. What the hell happened there? I don't really understand what, Queen of 1 was pre-moved. How did it disappear? I don't understand. The mechanics of pre-moving still confuse me a great deal, apparently. I have no idea what happened there. And I will continue donking around with knight d7, which is sort of an invention of Kirill Alexeyenko, which obviously, when he played this against Karyakin in the Grand Swiss in 2019, he was instantly flamed by people who assumed that he is just, an uncultured youth or something. I'm not entirely sure what the assumption was there. But it really isn't very stupid at all. So here the knight on d7 is obviously quite misplaced, but I think I'm just in time to get it to a proper square. Yeah, I know about the only one move, but actually I'm not in time to get it to c6. What am I talking about? As long as my opponent doesn't really relinquish any pressure on the e5 pawn here, I cannot play knight b8, knight c6. So this was a huge, huge misplay by me. Okay. Yeah, so as I was saying, I know about the only one pre-move rule, but I thought I was pre-moving only one move there. That's the part that confuses me. I think I'm getting kind of completely destroyed after f4, but you have to play knight b8 because if you don't go for that maneuver, my pieces just will never come out if I don't get the knight to c6. It's a bit unfortunate that it will probably cost me something important in the center. Like, for instance, after everything gets taken and he goes knight f3, I might have to give up I have some exchange sacrifices here that I might have to go for. But I think I can actually go rook e8. I was planning to play bishop e6 in this position, knight takes e5, queen d4 check. And honestly, there is definitely some compensation, but if it's not required, I'm obviously... let's not do that. In particular, because he is not forced to take on e5 straight away. And now, if we don't get punished instantly, I will have a very decent position because I managed to trade away all of the bad pieces, and we are now going to end up with a structure where my knight, in particular if it lands on like e5 or d4, some kind of a good square like that, will be so much stronger than this light square bishop. Yeah, maybe I should have played bishop e6, but there were some issues with it, and doing it just to, make a slightly overblown positional point is maybe not optimal. Of course, what we're doing here is, generally speaking, not very optimal. Anyway, so maybe I should be trying for those crowd pleasers. I'm playing queen e5 not because I don't think any endgame I'm going to get here is much better for black, but because I want to activate the d7 knight, and in order to that you want to play knight d7, the f6 knight, and to do that without allowing d3, d4, I need to keep at least some watch over the d file. And now this has been completed, and all that remains is to find a way into the white's camp. And I think I can, it's such a sad move to be making knight takes d3 that I'm just going to forbid myself to make it, at least for the time being. Because I like trading the knight on e5 for the bishop on e2 is just so completely unattractive on purely aesthetic grounds that, yeah, I'm just not, like, if I can avoid it, I will avoid it. But it does win the game more or less instantly, both on this move and on the next one. Seems like my opponent got disconnected, but I do have a good position here, so I don't feel very bad about winning on time. Let's try to find a high-rated challenge of some sort, and then we'll switch to mixed matching. Yeah, that's going to be a project, right, Mithar? I think I only read book 1, maybe book 1 and book 2, but that was probably like 25 years ago. I don't remember anything at all. And it does feel like I probably should reread at least some of it before I start watching the series. I wish I remembered any of the Sozin theory at all, because obviously Sozin is a line where you not knowing any theory is about as costly as it can get in a Sicilian. Do I need to play h6 here to stop bishop g5 from happening? Do I need to take on b3? I have so many questions. I have a feeling stopping bishop g5 might be the most important thing in the position. Knight g5 currently, you have to, as black, you have to, and also knight h5. There are so many issues in general with my position that, I'm not at all sure I'm doing well here. I suspect I'm not. And the speed of play of my opponent is also scaring me quite a bit. I think at some point I need to just bite the bullet and accept this pawn sacrifice and hope that I survive. I don't know how high my hopes of survival actually are, but it feels like I must. Actually, yeah, I missed queen f3. I missed queen f3, and I will be in a lot of trouble here. Because I really don't want to play knight c5, but I might not have any choice at all. No, I don't think this is a 2000 in real life, Gilbara. So far, nothing in my in my opponent's play in this game leads me to suspect that this is not a reasonably decent player. Then again, like, it's also possible that it is somebody who is doing quite well on the side without. Hang on a second. Can I play bishop c5? I would like to play bishop c5, but after bishop c5, rook c5, a takes b5, I don't have a comfortable recapture. I can go for some kind of a really weird speculative exchange sacrifice, but the question is, do I need to? I can also just play b5, b4 here and not have to think about anything at all. Yeah, I don't know. People have on occasion quoted some sort of statistical assessments of what the inflation is between online and in real life. But yeah, I've never really done any research on the topic, and this is not a blunder. As I mentioned earlier, like this is. It might not be any good, but this is not a blunder. This is something I've done on purpose, just to finish development and not have to think about things too much. But yeah, it could very, very easily just be kind of bad. And I also very much accept that I had better options. I just thought this was fun to try, in as much as anything is fun to try in this position. If there's any challenge higher than yours, it would be an interesting fight. I played the 9150, 2950, and I think maybe even one player above 3K last night. But today I don't see any really stratospheric challenges. There's a challenge. There's a challenge from the same Serbian player I played yesterday. That game ended in a draw. I probably should not be playing him every day, though, not because I'm extremely afraid, but simply because I think the aim definitely should be for me to be playing as many different people as possible, giving more people a chance to play. And there are some 2800s, but apart from that, I don't see any really high-level challenges. I will pick up on f5. It's a useful pawn for me to have. So we're sort of slowly. Yeah, that's a very, very bad mistake. But I guess my opponent kind of panicked on very, very little time. That sequence was unnecessary. The position before the move g3, g4, you might not even lose. Not anymore. I'm on 50% now in classical, and I'm in serious minus in short time controls. I was in plus until 2019, though. I don't know why I'm playing the 4 pawns. I have very, very limited theoretical knowledge of this line. And the last time I looked at this, I couldn't even figure out why white is supposed to be better. Yeah, Nepo is still in plus in classical, although he has at some point started losing games, or game singular, I think. Yeah, this is one of the reasons why. Although I think you're supposed to do it with bishop on f5 first, so this is the old main line, right? So I need to remember exactly how I'm supposed to sacrifice the knight on g1. There's this really, really insane line in these positions where white. There are some really crazy old Luboyevich games, I think, which lead to positions where white gives up a knight on g1 for no particular reason. But I think, obviously, having played knight f3, I am unlikely to I'm unlikely to get there. Okay, I think this is theory, which leads to some kind of an endgame where I'm a pawn up, but I don't have very much. After bishop takes c4. So I'm going to try not to do that, but it will probably result in me being worse. How important is chess to Russia as a country? It still forms a, I mean, the sentence I was trying to finish was it still forms part of the national identity, but I think that's probably overstating it. I think everything is theory, but bishop takes c4, as far as I can remember, is more mainline theory, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I don't know about any kind of a really sweeping statement like that, but chess is still reasonably popular. People are still quite likely to teach their kids chess, which is a very, very big part of why chess was so dominant. Like why Soviet Union, for instance, was so dominant on the world stage for so long, was simply because people were very happy to teach their children the rules. I think I kind of need to try and castle as quickly as possible here. I could take on b6 and on c4, but I was really worried about giving up control over those dark squares when my king is still on e1. But in this position, obviously, like after rook e8, I might, or even that move, which I sort of missed. Yeah, as I said, like this is. I think I got exactly what you're. Whoa. Apparently, it's very easy to play king f1 in every single position, as my opponent indicated a couple of games ago, and now I'm also doing this. You should just, like, if you're watching this, Peter made me sub, just win the game. You don't need to give me takebacks or anything. I don't think this trade was required. I think possibly my opponent is now trying to play somewhat suboptimally so that he doesn't win on the spot, which it's a touching gesture, but you don't need to. It's my responsibility not to be such a boomer when it comes to the mouse slips. I didn't really prepare for the World Cup in 2011 at all. It was a very strange year for personal reasons, and in the run-up to the World Cup, I was absolutely preoccupied with non-chess things, which is what made that year so weird, honestly, because I normally play well when I'm in a good headspace, when I'm sort of comfortable with where I am as a person, and with things going on around me. And in 2019, there was very, very pronouncedly, if that's an English word I'm looking for, it was very clearly not true. Things were very obviously not going the way they were ideally supposed to go. And yet I had one of the absolute best years of my career. So it's hard to figure out exactly how outside life influences will influence your play on the day. Yeah. despite I have a feeling, despite Peter made me sub, going for a little bit of a soft play there at some point, or at the very least, what looked like it was possible to. It was. I can't finish sentences today. Yeah, but it did seem that the very, very long tank at some point by my opponent was perhaps to do with me playing king f1 in a position where I clearly wanted to play castles, and my opponent trying to figure out how to react to that. I'm still completely busted here. The king on f1. f5 instead of bishop g4 allowed queen h3 check, and then queen takes f5, ran 43. I very much wanted to play f5. f5 was what I was sort of hoping, pinning my hopes on in that position, but it felt to me like it's losing tactically. So with much regret, I had to scrap it. Yeah, my chances here are sort of severely limited to more or less the quote-unquote dirty flag. Or maybe I can beg for a draw here with bishop e3, bishop f2. If I were right here, I think I'm close to winning. Yeah, you're not close to winning here. We're 2 pawns down, we have no threats, and if black stabilizes for one more move, your entire position will fall apart. So no, definitely not close to winning. Would have been a much more interesting game, obviously, if I actually completed the castling instead of playing king e1 f1 in a position where I am already under severe pressure and my center is falling apart. Yeah, close to winning on the clock, yes, maybe. Yeah, that, I mean, there was definitely an opportunity missed there to try and flag my opponent, but I miss those opportunities often. Hey Zixa, how are you doing? I need to ask you about that updating of the GPU thing that I think you mentioned the last time I streamed, because it's still seemingly borked. Yeah, I mean, obviously, well, not obviously, you can play c6 in that position, but I think the fact that bishop e6 exists will heavily discourage most white players in that position from playing queen c4 back. And this sort of loops us back to that question asked by person with pipe in their username, I've forgotten now, about, avoiding draws. This is actually one of the more interesting and one of the more ambitious replies to queen b3 in terms of immediate equality. But here, just as in almost any other line, you cannot really avoid repetitions, at least in some positions. I should have paid more attention to knight e3, but my opponent, I mean, you definitely could have, and I think should have taken on c4 there in my opponent's spot. I don't know why it wasn't played, and now we're completely winning because the pawn on c4 survived. And yeah, we can win it in a dozen different ways. I'm definitely going to watch Knights Are Demons, but no, I'm not going to commentate. Nobody asked me to commentate, and unless you mean some sort of Watchstone type scenario, but I can't really imagine myself streaming today. After this, I mean, because every single moment I am not, occupied doing something that I absolutely have to be doing, I either dream of being asleep or am actually asleep. So I can imagine you streaming today. Yeah, you have a very active imagination, Dodgy. It's one of your more endearing qualities. So we've gotten to this type of position sort of without comment. I've always felt that this knight d7, knight c8 line is not how black should be playing these Karakans, because yes, you do have some squares for your pieces, but generally speaking, it's a little bit too passive for my liking. But people have been doing this for quite a while, and not even without success, so maybe I'm underestimating it. Yeah, the usual policy there, Vignesh, is asking in chat does not actually confer any special privileges, and in fact, probably slightly diminishes your chances of getting picked, because the assumption here is everybody who already challenged also wants to play me, otherwise they wouldn't have challenged. And by adding additional requests in chat, you're just, well, you're not adding very much to the discourse, let's put it like this. What am I supposed to do here? I made one slightly autopiloting move in c2, c3, a move that I kind of always make. And now I cannot play knight c5 because the pawn on e5 is weak. He will take with the bishop and take on e5. And this means I cannot stop c6, c5 from happening. And that means I kind of don't like my position very much. If that sequence makes any sense. I will play bishop g5 here just to try to change the structure a little bit. I don't expect my opponent to take on g5 because then I suddenly will have a decent attack on the king side, because knight on g5 is very difficult to drive away. I'm expecting f7, f6 to be the best move in this position, or queen d8, but queen d8 already makes me happier about my prospects, because I managed to unload what I assume was the worst piece in my position, which was the bishop on e3, and traded for the bishop on e7, which was definitely quite a good piece. And here we're definitely switching back to the same plan. I will use the fact that my opponent relinquished control over the g5 square to immediately start some play with like queen g4, queen h4. I'm not coaching any of the young Indians, no. And as you can see from the pause by my opponent, he has realized what is about to happen and he is not enjoying it. But queen c4 is not the way to solve it, specifically because rook a4 exists, only really achieving, this basically speeds up my attack, because I now have, apart from the queen reaching the h-file, I can also get the rook to h4. So now I'm sort of assuming I'm winning by force. If you don't play f6 right this moment, I think you get mated. Actually, I missed queen d8, so maybe not. But even then, I think it's very close to mate. But if you do play f6, your position sort of falls apart anyway. So it's not going to get much better. Yeah, this is, I suspect, maybe the best choice my opponent even had. Just giving up quite a lot of material straight away, not to get mated by force. But yeah, you're still going to be in a lot of trouble tactically here. I almost played rook h4, but rook takes b7 is a very worthy replacement. and then we can suddenly give mate on the back ranks. In the Grunfeld, I always feel the e7 pawn is a weakness, but moving it to e6 creates a complete set of black square holes around the g6 square. There are actually very limited lines in which the e7 pawn is a weakness. There's definitely some lines where white can exert some pressure against it, but there are, I think, if you take Grunfeld as a kind of as a whole, I don't think the lines where it's an actual problem comprise more than, I don't know, 10% of positions or lines in general that white can choose. So I kind of disagree with the first part of your sentence, but I definitely agree with the second part. There are very few positions in the Grunfeld where you should be happy playing e6. Specifically for that reason that you mentioned, because it does create additional weaknesses, and it does make your queenside structures a lot less fluid and a lot more vulnerable to attacks. So yeah, we give you 50% marks for that statement. Would you consider coaching a rewarding career path? I'm not sure. I'm very kind of afraid of the word coaching, because I don't think I specifically because like in my mind there is a very important difference. Like there's a distinction between coaching and seconding. Where I mean I've done some seconding in my life, and I've also had people second me for prolonged periods of time, and that relationship I very much enjoy, because it's a relationship of roughly, not equals exactly, obviously. Like when I was, let's say when I was Kramnik second, I wouldn't, dream of suggesting that we are on equal footing, but I was at the time a very strong grandmaster myself, and there is definitely no, pupil versus the pupil and master relationship. But with coaching, like the implication that you know something and your pupil needs to be taught basics in some cases is very much there. And I honestly don't know how good I am at teaching basics. I've never really done it. I'm not sure about bishop d3. This is a very well-known theoretical position, and I have a feeling bishop d3 is not the move you're supposed to play in it, but it's already on the board, so we'll kind of ignore it. I have a feeling this maybe is still my game against Fabi from some European clubs, or close to it anyway. So yeah, for me, coaching is kind of a bit of a foreign country, so to speak. I've never really tried it in any kind of systematic fashion, and I don't know how good I will be at it. So my concerns are not with the idea of helping others being unattractive to me. I quite like the idea of helping others. It's just that I don't know how good of a coach I would be. We're obviously not interested in trading queens here. The counterplay on the queen side is not going to be fast enough if I don't mess up too badly. We just open the king side and sort of quote-unquote win. And yet never ever do this if you're in this spot as black. I just want to really make sure you understand that opening the H file is the last thing you should be doing. I think G6, your automatic reply, I think in that position has to be F6, H6, and keeping the H file closed. If you do it this way, I think you do. I mean, you have to expect you actually do get mated. I don't think this position is holdable, whether it's blitz or classical or really anything. I don't think you can expect to hold this. After g6, h6, I still have to... This is a cute move, but I'm obviously not obliged to react to it. I have my own targets on the king side, and I will only start taking material here when it's completely winning. Let's take some lower rated challenges for a bit. I think Fischer definitely did have, not coaches. I think he did not. Once again, if we make a distinction between coaches and seconds, he definitely had seconds, but I'm much less sure about coaches. I think he was, as a kid, he was sort of self-taught, and his unbelievable gifts were, definitely enough for him to improve leaps and bounds without any kind of a guiding hand. And in later parts of his career, he definitely had people who were helping him to prepare for matches and so on, but they were not coaches in that sense of the word. But yeah, definitely what Ran 4321 is saying there is also very, very true. I think things that were working for chess players in like 1970s and 1980s even are not necessarily going to be working in 2020s. I don't actually have a repertoire against this particular move. I'm kind of curious what they're supposed to do if you just play a6 here. I played a4 on occasion myself, and I have a feeling that maybe the idea is to take on d7 and go a5. What I want to try here is to not allow a5 at all. This is what I was curious about. Because white obviously wants to play like knight c3 and then a5. Magnus played this when he did a draw recently in the finals of the final leg of the Yeah, I am not very sharp today, Dodgy. I only just realized they were in sequence. I'm not sure it's great, Asparov, honestly. Like, I'm very reluctant to recommend this. Because my opponent is really not trying to punish me at all, I now have a very, very pleasant position. But I have a feeling that if you play 4a6 against somebody who is trying to punish your choices in the opening a bit harder than my opponent here, you might not get what I got here. I am not going to try to prevent d3, d4 here because I think it actually improves my position more than it improves my opponent's position. But I will note that there's definitely an option to play 5 here, killing off that source of play altogether. To hang out with Jan a lot. I haven't seen Jan in ages and ages because of the COVID. But when travel was relatively unrestricted, we definitely did spend a decent amount of time together. When I would come to Hamburg and we would work together and also spend some free time together. The regulations about the PCR tests are very different depending on which direction you travel and so on, but you normally can't get on board these days without a negative PCR test from less than 72 hours away from the flight. Uh, yeah, that's I was trying to decide what to do with that quote, and then people who make these decisions faster and more reliably than me have already decided. Yeah, I did not know that. I did not know that at all, Kolitsu, and that's an interesting little bit of info. And you have to kind of wonder why that is not more of a part of a general conversation about Fisher's younger years. But maybe I'm just not as familiar with his origin story, such as it is, because I've never really been a particularly dedicated student of Fisher's early life, or, if we're entirely honest, even Fisher's late life either. So perhaps it's just me. Perhaps it's much more widely known than I assume it is. I would like to repeat the successes of my previous game and also give mate. I mean, not the previous, but the one before that. I've actually been actively looking for a way to get my queen to the h file here, but I don't think I can. The knight on g4 is still very annoying for my opponent here because it's difficult. After white goes h takes g3, it's difficult to drive the knight away from g4 in all these types of positions, and it just stands there being incredibly, incredibly annoying. Do you know if Grishuk will play in the Olympiad today, or why he didn't play in the last two matches? I don't. I could ask, but if he actually is playing today, I probably shouldn't be bothering him with messages. So it's a kind of a mixed bag, but it's still 2 hours before the game, so maybe we could. And yeah, I definitely understand the sentiment of he played untitled. Then I guess it was just team selection, rotation, and so on. Yeah. I realized that, Tumke, but I also realized that I can ask and then not tell you guys anything. That's the most fun option. Somebody asks me a question and then I find out the answer to that question, and then I just don't tell you. And I feel very smug, right? That's the way to go. I wasn't worried, Knights are Demons. I haven't gotten any reply yet, though, chat, so I'm feeling very smug for no reason currently. I mostly feel I wasn't talking about feeling smart. I was talking about feeling smug specifically. It definitely doesn't make me feel smarter, but yeah, I've had issues with that in general throughout my career. Games appear to not be starting for. And hang on a second. I think I won every game today, no? And I appear to have lost 1 rating point. Have I won every game today? I don't know. Yeah, there was 1 draw, yeah, somewhere. And that draw undid all of my stellar work, I suppose. No, Was it the one with King of... I think the one with King f1 I actually ended up winning on time, right? Yeah, the 18 seconds draw. Yeah, that one. That one. Why is there so many non-starters in a row? I wonder. The ELO rating system giveth, and the ELO rating system taketh away. Indeed. That is indeed what is happening here. We appear not to have gotten across the Vignesh. Sag. And things of that nature. This line was recently, there was a match in the World Cup, right, which featured this line seemingly in every second game. I don't know if... I used to sort of play this as black, actually, because my coach, Andrei Lukin, was one of the people who developed the theory of this line quite deeply, and I definitely played a lot of Rouser when I was in my mid-20s. But I don't remember anything at all, and I normally actually play the slightly different Rouser to this, not this line specifically. So already I'm not at all sure if I'm even supposed to play King b1, and Knight b4 worries me because I think it's very possible to just get mated in these lines with white if you mix things up. I have a favorite chess game memorized. I used to be a lot better at remembering stuff than I am now, but these are, this is just age things. But I think any chess player worth his salt will have, thousands of random things memorized. So when you talk about favorite games, of course I have favorite games memorized. This is interesting, actually. I did not consider this option at all, but it makes a decent amount of sense because the knight will be quite nicely placed if it reaches the e4 square, which I will now attempt to prevent from happening. But yeah, in general, as I was talking about the Rouser, this is one of the more non-standard Rousers because you get this really strange pawn structure in the center where Black basically, for a very, very long time, possibly forever in these types of positions, it has to do without castling kingside. The king just has to stay on e8. But because of this grouping of central pawns, which are very difficult to challenge, the king feels quite comfortable on e8. And the fact that both the b and the c files are open on the queen side makes potential attacks against the white king extremely potent. And yeah, I think I've not played this right, because now I don't actually have a particularly good reply to the threats of rook b8, apart from maybe king a2, followed by b3. But I'm actively unhappy about my position here. And I have a suspicion even something like knight takes b2 in this position might be playable, but maybe it's a little bit too early to be as ambitious as that with black. But yeah, after queen c7, I have a feeling that I could be in a lot of trouble. I noticed this move existed, but there's really not very much I could have done about it. So we have to start preparing for things to be sacrificed. I could have started with bishop f2, my major defensive resource in this position is trying to bring the bishop from h4 to d4. And if that does happen, my position will start looking a lot more manageable. Yeah, I don't think that works anymore, Tumke. I think you still lose rating these days. Like, maybe not as much rating as you could have lost in earlier times, but I don't know. Yeah, this is a cute move, but I'm actually not at all heartbroken about the probability of losing this exchange. Maybe I should have played queen e3. I should not be hanging the f4 pawn here. I think there's a floor. I think Tumke is yeah, maybe Jake knows. Generally assuming that Jake knows is kind of safe. Definitely safer than assuming that I know on this particular topic. This is a strange move, in particular if you consider that queen takes f4 was available. Yeah, suddenly I am back to being in full control. And you can even go for like ultimate greed lines here. You don't even have to give up on g2, and my bishop on e5 is so strong that I'm kind of reluctant to even take on b8 here. I think trading this bishop for a rook is kind of a war crime. Yeah, that last bit of the chess fan statement is, it has been attempted. I think Paco in particular at some point did something like this. I mean, not the full-blown let's play a match against 1700s, but he definitely, I think at some point, as a kind of a practical demonstration of just how stupid the rule is, he did play in some comparatively weak tournaments to gain some rating, if I remember correctly. I should have taken on b8, honestly. This is kind of... I sort of failed to appreciate how annoyed I will be that black has a threat of f7, f6 here. We can make this a little bit more lively by sacrificing some material. But yeah, once the f6 pawn was given to me, I definitely could have and arguably, should have played a lot cleaner than I chose to play. My position is still good though, because the king is kind of difficult to balance. Well, balance is a weird word in this sentence. Difficult to stabilize. Okay, let's see what's the highest rated challenge we have here, since people were asking. Yeah, no real high rated challenges I can see. There are some strong players, but I think maybe people who were watching realized that I'm doing more of a mixed strategy today, and just even some of the challenges I saw earlier have disappeared. I used to know something about this line, but I have a feeling my my current understanding of this may be slightly dated. In this position, black has a number of options, but what used to worry me the most is exactly this move. And there are some fun ideas against this available to white. In particular, you can play h4 here, and you can also play knight h3. Somewhat shockingly, both of those things aren't very stupid. I think you play bishop g5 here and then f3, if I remember correctly. Planning bishop d3 and then castle short. The reason to do this is the fact that if you play normally after d4 b6, which I assume is either knight e2 or, sorry, knight f3 or bishop e2 f3, those positions have been worked out to a very, very serious depth, and they appear to not be giving white any advantage at all. Whereas here, I wouldn't say I am necessarily better, but the resulting positions look quite fun, and they are actually quite challenging for black to play. It's very easy here for black to make a number of autopilot moves and then suddenly find themselves quite a bit worse. I think the bishop generally belongs on d2 in these lines. You can argue for bishop e3, but I think on d2 it does slightly better. And now black has a question. Black can castle kingside, against which white definitely has some play on the king side. Or you can try preparing along castles, but then your queen on a5 might run into issues. I don't know if I need to play a4 here. There's a number. Like a normal looking move here would be something like rook a1. But I think moving the rook away from the a1 square heavily encourages black to castle queenside, which is why I was sort of mousing over the a2, a4 move, which retains some flexibility. But I think it's a little bit too flexible. I will also say that I kind of like what my opponent is doing here. I think my opponent's play so far made a ton of sense. I allowed queen h5, which I think my opponent should have immediately availed themselves of that opportunity on the previous move. Queen h5 looks very, very strong here. In fact, I'm pretty sure I should not have been allowing it at all. This is a bit of a sad decision because after the trade, black has a number of very solid options. Also, the trade is not forced, but after, let's say, knight e4, f takes e4, e5 makes a ton of sense. c5 probably also makes a ton of sense. So yeah, I don't think I'm providing too much of a positive advertisement for the knight h3, bishop g5 response to this line. I don't, yeah, this particular discussion that you guys are having right now in chat, I don't really know a good answer to it. And also, for me, as I think for most strong chess players, the answer just starts with, I am not interested. Because I think you're just, on a hiding to nothing. We start at such a disadvantage against the modern engines that, in order to have any chance at all, you have to ask for incredibly humiliating odds. And even with incredibly humiliating odds, you are very, very unfavored. So I just don't see what the attraction would be. I was planning to play knight takes c5 in this position, but there is a tactical reason why it's not great. But it's sort of too late to back out. Yeah, this is... I missed a6, but even a6 is not forced here. Bishop 6 is even stronger. This is like what I did is just absolutely horrible. Just horrible. And now, yeah, I have to do this, but my position is kind of borked beyond all repair, honestly. I don't know. We're kind of lost here. I have no realistic expectation of saving this game anymore. Any move wins here. Knight f4 is very strong. Rook a3 is very strong. There is just not going to be a good outcome here. Is not in our future. I will try to use my extra 40 seconds here to... Okay, now we're actually suddenly doing very well, but that's mainly to do with my opponent kind of panicking on very low time. I was completely lost. I instantly feel the famous Peter's optimism, but I mean, if you want, just check this game out. If you're interested in the assessment of the position after, I don't know, move 22, if you don't trust my assessment, you can definitely, check what the on-site machines are thinking about how well I was doing before the blunders came. But yeah, on the topic of strong players playing handicap matches against machines, for me personally, the equation is pretty simple. I would need to be offered, properly life-changing amounts of money to even start considering what the odds should be. There would need to be a lot of zeros in that conversation. Definitely way more than, any engine producer is willing to offer. I'm not going to discuss the exact numbers because it's a completely pointless thought exercise, but yeah, I think we are sort of talking 7 figures. I don't know, what the first figure should be there, but anything below 7 figures, I just don't see how it's of any use to me. To be publicly humiliated for no particular reason. Six figures is useless. Yeah. Scientists say that their results cannot be trusted, and so on and so forth. The famous meme definitely belongs here, but yeah, I do feel kind of strongly about that. I'd be willing to be humiliated in public for a mere 500,000. You do you, I guess. But yeah, I understand that this sounds very entitled and so on, but the figures, what constitutes life-changing money can be discussed. But the general point I very much stand by. I don't see why that would be interesting for me, because we kind of know the outcome. I don't think mankind benefits by yet more reinforcement of something we already know to be true, which is that machines are much, much stronger than humans. at our beautiful game. Being defeated in chess by a computer stopped being humiliating like 25 years ago. But we're talking about equal material, right? Losing an equal material game against a computer is not humiliating because we all know you will lose. But those matches are not on offer anymore. Those matches, like there's like legitimately, I think, zero interest in watching anybody play against a machine on equal terms, because we definitely know how that movie ends. What is occasionally being tried these days is extremely strong grandmasters getting, I don't know, 2 pawns odds or pawn and move odds or like exchange odds, things of that nature, and basically trying to make a draw once or twice. That's the sort of the extent of the ambition there. I'm kind of tempted to sacrifice this exchange here. I probably shouldn't, but it's definitely a tempting idea. Yeah, there have been some of those matches, like Hikaru played some. I don't know exactly what the conditions there were, because Chess Fan is suggesting he had some computer help himself. I really don't know what they ended up agreeing on. How would you go preparing for your first live tournament? I don't know if that, like, how do you prepare normally? I don't think you need to change very much. Jake Glenn learns chess. Apart from, if it's legitimately your first live tournament and it's happening in 2021, there will be some, specifically 2021 related things you need to be ready for, such as, being around reasonably large groups of people and so on. So there will be those concerns. But apart from that, if you have a routine for how you prepare for chess anyway, I don't think you need to stray from that routine at all. Yeah, advanced chess somehow just completely disappeared. And they did seem quite interesting at the time, Riataman. Probably 1 or 2 more, depending on how they go. We could try taking a shorter challenge. I actually found a 3000 challenge, so let's play that first and then see how we go. Yeah, I ended up almost not discussing the previous game at all. I may have actually said 0 words about the previous game, which is a bit of a pity, because I think discussing those structures would have been fun, but ended up getting completely derailed by the computer talk. Norway chess definitely, yeah, it starts in half an hour. I'm very happy very happy with how that is going, because we actually had that conversation with Richie during the Paris Grand Chess Tour leg, that the games we played during the Paris Grand Chess Tour were the first games we ever played against each other. And we also have never really talked until Paris. But I really like Richie. Richie is a really fun person to be around. And very fun to talk to. And watching him absolutely destroy the field in a tournament of this strength is making me very happy. I obviously am now extremely worried I have jinxed him, but let's hope not. This is still sort of theory. I have a feeling it might even still be some of my own games. It's also not very good for black at all. Basically, you only play this line if you don't want to engage with the theory of, I mean, the obvious mainline theory of these Grunfelds, which is, of course, the acceptance of the sacrifice on A2. But I didn't really feel like engaging with that, so I chose a sideline, but this sideline is not very good. Yeah, I don't know if you can call Ricci underrated. I think, underrated is a very kind of a nice term to use, specifically sort of as a narrative device, if you understand what I mean. It's narratively, it's a very, very nice term to use about somebody like Ricci, because it conveys a story, but it also has a very specific meaning, and he's like 2770. So, I don't know if you can call somebody who's rated 2770 underrated. Peter Svidler is an underrated narrator. No, I think if anything, I'm an overrated narrator. I appear to be completely busted here. I wanted to play c takes d4, but apart from the fact that c takes d4 is strong, there is also c3, c4 tactics, which I missed entirely, which appear to be winning material on the spot. All of this is making me, all lost and no equality makes Peter a very dull boy, or something like that. No real choice, though. Immediately replied with c takes d4. I'm pretty sure rook takes b7 was kind of winning there. So this is like a little bit of a respite, but not much. Not much. And yeah, the position remains very, very annoying. And none of the tactics work. The rook on b5 is not hanging Stergios, but I also should not be replying to chat messages right now, I'm pretty sure. Because, we don't want to further undermine my chances in this game by losing half a minute on talking to chat when I'm also being destroyed on the board. Yeah, we appear to be exactly level on rating terms, but that's only going to last until the destruction is complete. Like, this position is, if you take the queens off, you definitely have some drawing chances with black, because the knight on d5 is quite strong. But with the queens on, what ends up happening normally is that you get mated on the king side, because as we've discussed earlier during today's show, playing e6 in Grunfelds does make your king side significantly weaker. And it's very much relevant in positions like this, where I think it's very, very easy to just get mated on the king side. I will try to get the queens off for those specific reasons, but yeah, I'm pretty sure my opponent will have something to say about that. Have I ever played a classical game against the opponent with the exact same rating? Obviously, because I'm very old. I mean, people will, there's going to be some objection to that statement, but you have to realize that until reasonably recently, ratings were rounded to always end on 5 and 0. Like when I was growing up, all ratings finished on 0s and 5s. Calculations were reasonably exact, but towards the end of the rating period, such as it was, all the ratings got rounded to the nearest 5 points. And in those years, you played people on the same rating a lot. well, I mean, not a lot. Obviously, you still needed, some conditions had to be met, but it happened a lot more than it does now. These days, it's obviously quite rare when the cutoff is no longer true. I'm actually going to get away with it, shockingly. Well, yeah, I missed queen c1, but I'm still maybe getting away with it. Maybe. Not 100. Queen b2 might still be winning, unfortunately, which is very regrettable. This isn't winning, though. Yeah, this is some prime swindling right there. And apparently it was unrated. So we're not going to gain any rating from this game. I'm kind of upset about that. That was my chance to end up climbing a little bit on the stream, and ended up not happening at all. But I'm obviously quite satisfied with somehow not losing that game, even though it wasn't really very edifying in terms of like opening knowledge and what to do and what not to do in Grunfelds. But somehow surviving that game was definitely a positive. And since we are at the 90-minute mark, and this is a victory against a very strong player, I'm probably going to end it here. Thanks everybody for watching. I am leaving for Macedonia in a couple of days' time to play in the Euro clubs, so no streaming, at least on this channel for sure. No streaming until I return. But there's probably going to be some more stuff being done in terms of either banters, or I haven't done any Tiny related stuff in a bit. So maybe there's this in the future. We'll see what happens. And yeah, thanks everybody for being here and keeping me company and getting me properly distracted during games. I really appreciate that, because I needed things to keep me alive and awake. Cheers everybody, and yeah, let's all go watch Norway and the online Olympiad and be chess junkies together. Bye.
Want to raise your chess to a new level? Challenge Yourself is an exclusive, innovative experience designed for Chess24 Premium members. Train like a champ, with a unique set of lessons prepared by the coaches of the challengers. Boris Girlfriend and Co. will help you improve your chess. Play a champ. Play a grandmaster each day in Banter Blitz. Take advantage of this incredible opportunity from June 10th. Go premium and challenge yourself.